Hello, this is Charlie from MMG, and today I'm going to be walking through the title editor within VMIX. So, what is the title editor? So, what's considered a title in VMIX, as you would have seen from our tutorial around inputs and adding inputs. So this here, VMIX tutorial, this is a title. Now there are different types of titles in VMIX and they'll give you different settings. So I'm just going to add a few different ones just so we can kind of see the general thing. That's the title editor you see there. But yeah, I'll just add a few inputs and then we'll get on to having a look. As you can see, I've added quite a few different kinds of titles here. Here we've just got plain text. This is a ticker, so if I overlaid that on, it would essentially do that, play across the bottom of the screen. We've got a timer, a scoreboard, and then a name card or lower third. Well, many different terms for these. We typically call these lower thirds. So to access the title editor, on any input that's considered a title, you'd right click and it will say title editor. So this is the title editor. Now, what we can do in here essentially, so as you can see, we've got text, images, color. Now, for just plain text, it will literally just be the text. We won't get the option of images or color so much. What we can do along the top here, so we can change the font to any of these fonts obviously installed on your computer, and also any of your own fonts you want to install can be used here as well. So we could change it to this, for example, apply, and then OK. And as you can see, that has changed the text. And obviously as well, we can choose all the different font weights, styles, size as well. We can underline as well, as you can see. We can also strike through, which will then put a strike through it. Now, the minus and the plus, so if we hit the plus, as you can see, it actually increases the size. And essentially, that's just increasing the font size. So 108 there. If I get rid of some, 96. So that's just a quick way to increase and decrease font size right there. We can change the color of it here. So if I want to make it red or any color you want, and also ticker settings. But for this, that won't so much apply to our text input. Now you've also got the option to add data sources to titles as well. We won't be going into that in this tutorial. We might make another video in the future about data sets. Now spelling, so we can actually spell check this as well. So that's also quite useful. Now, other than that, you've obviously got these settings down here and this setting here. Now, most of this doesn't really apply to text. And this is why I added lots of different types of titles, as various settings here apply to different titles. For text, it's pretty much just color, font size, font, and the actual text itself. And obviously you've got things like the spelling. So if we go to this ticker, for example, and hit title editor. So obviously you've got the text here, and we haven't got any images or color for this. Now, same thing, you can change the font, make it bigger or smaller, the color of the font. Now, we've also got these ticker settings. So we can change now, because we're using a ticker, the speed of the ticker. So if we want to make it really fast, we can change the direction to the right, let's say, and we could even do add or replace. So as you can see, after configuring those settings, we can now play the ticker just like so, and it's faster going from the opposite direction. So that's essentially most of the ticker settings. So if we get rid of the live button, it won't affect it. That's more when we get to timers. So here we've got a timer. Now, just for the sake of this, I'm quickly going to add a blank just to make the output black. So now if we go to the title editor of the timer, so obviously we've still got time text. Now, when it says text, it actually means the format of your timer. So this basically is the format of your timer. So hours, minutes, seconds, etc. Now, there's different formats that you can put in here, but there's various presets in VMIX from where we added the timers that will give you different layouts and formats. Now, what we can do for the timer, so just again, no images or color, but we can do the same thing with the text and the font. We can change the color again, make it turquoise if we want, as you can see. Now, no ticker settings, but this time we've got this clocks. So we can actually set it to different kinds of clocks. So we can have a time of day 24-hour clock if we want, and then it will actually display the time of day, 24 hours, and it also changes the format on some of these as well, as you can see. So 12-hour clock, we can do a countdown to time, and then as you can see, we've got a time in there. So if I now put, for example, 7 p.m, it will now count down to exactly 7 p.m. And that one I think is incredibly good for shows, because you can can then put the start time of your show in, say it's 10 in the morning, and it will then count down to the start of your show. Got date international, so you can actually have a date there as well. You can also have, they've got this date USA, so it flips the months and the days, and date and time. So there's various different options here that you can add. Also add this, so it says PM or AM, so many options. Now, let's say we want this to be just a standard clock, right? Sort of countdown timer. So if we want this to just be a countdown timer that we have full control over, that's where we can go into settings here, where it says countdown. Now, if I set the duration to say 10, and then I hit play, it will then go to 10 minutes and it will count down. So it will go to whatever we set in this box. And you can also do a stop time as well. So let's say we'll make this just 10 seconds, and then we'll put a stop time of 10 seconds as well. So now what it will do is it will actually, so we can pause it just like this, or play by pressing that again, and reset by pressing the red button there. So what it will do now is it will count down from 20 seconds to 10 seconds. Because our duration's 10, but our stop time's 10, it will go from 20 to 10, and then it will stop just like so. Now to reset, you can basically just press play, or you can do that to go to the stop time. Now, display format, so we can change the display format in here as well. So we could just have minutes and seconds, and we could also do a reverse as well. So you can also reverse the clock as well. So instead of counting down, it counts up. Now, for these clocks, we can actually add presets. So if I click the plus, you can see I've now got 10 seconds. Let's now add 10 minutes to that, like so, and then hit start. And let's also change the format, why not? And then if I click the plus, you can now see when I click these, it changes between those different presets just like that. So that's a good way to actually add your own presets. Even if we did a countdown to time, for example, and did the 7 p.m, I can add that, and that will now be a preset, and we can flick between these different clocks. Now, if I hit the live button, what will essentially happen is if I click one of these presets, you can see it's now not actually changing what it is until I hit that live button. And that's essentially how the live button works. So when you make a change, you can make the change and then hit the live button on, and then the change will be made, so that people watching the stream, if you have to make a change mid-stream or mid-show, they don't see that change being made. And that is the same for the text as well, and all of the other inputs. So by hitting this, you can make your changes. When you're done, hit live, and it will update those changes. Now, you can also notice if I right click this, we get our presets for the countdown time display right here like this. Now, here we've got a scoreboard. So for the scoreboard, you can see now we've got a lot more going on. So in text, we've got the home title text. So that's where it says home. Score text, away text for the title, and the score for the away. And then title 1 there, title 2 there, and the clock in the middle, which is effectively a countdown clock within this. So there's many different parameters you can change within the scoreboard, and all the scoreboards are different, but essentially this is how you access your different parameters for the scoreboards. So if I want to type 01 there, that will change there. And then the score text, let's say they have 220 away, 02. As you can see, each bit of it is changing. And then equally, we can also change the clock if we really wanted to a countdown to time, just like we did with the clock here. So many different things you can do here. And obviously, as well, as you can see, you can add images for the different parts as well. So where it says 01 here and it's red, and then 02 there, the home and away, you can actually change them and make them images within this title. So this essentially has a lot more configurability than some of the other titles, but it all depends on which title you want to use. Will depend on the parameters that you get and that you can change. Now, you can change the text size, font, etc. of each of these parameters, just like you can with the other titles as well, in exactly the same way. Now, technically, you can add presets as well. Obviously, if you right click on here, we get our presets, so we can change the score like that as well if we really wanted, or really any of the text for that matter. So that's essentially most of the stuff to do with scoreboards. You'll notice we've also got this transition in and out. So if I click that, it essentially does a transition in and out. So then if we have that on the screen, we do a transition out, out, it will do the transition out. And these transitions are kind of baked within each of the different titles. So when you end up potentially, you might make your own titles, and you do that using the VMIX GT title designer. You can add these cool effects and transition in and outs using that, but we won't be covering GT title designer quite yet. Now, this is a lower third name slide, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing. We've got transition in and out, just like with the scoreboard. We've also got this page 1 option, but if we go to our title editor, you can see we've only got the headline text, the description text, as you can see, headline, description. Do all the things you can do with the other titles, so change the font, make it bigger, smaller, change the color. We've also got this image, which obviously appears here, so we can put an image in there if we want as well. You browse and then you find your image. So again, many different things you can do with this. And then obviously if we load that in, it has this nice transition as well, and we can transition out like that, and that transitions it out but keeps it on for the overlay. And if you hit the overlay again, as you can see, it will do another transition, so just be wary of that. Typically you would put it on one and then you would take it off of one by clicking that again. So typically that's how the lower thirds work. Now page 1 is there, and as you can see by this, it's essentially flipping that image there. It's making it do a little animation, and that's just built into this lower third in particular. And same again, you can also add presets to this as well, and then just change those presets based on what you want. So if I just do this, I can change that preset just like that. So I think this is quite a good deep dive into title editor and how to add titles. And again, this is utilized quite heavily, so more in the sort of corporate events landscape. You'll see a lot of timers, tickers, text, things like that, lower thirds. Obviously then if you're more in the sports sort of category and sector, you'll obviously be using a lot more scorecards, there'll be timers, there'll be tickers. Like, you're using a lot of titles when you doing sports sort of stuff, so it's really good for that. And yeah, there are so many different options for titles in VMIX, just standard out the gate. As you can see, like, these are all the different lower thirds, or titles as it calls them. You've got stingers, social, scoreboard, ticker, text, timer. There's lots and lots of different titles. And so yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure to visit our website at mmgaxis.io, where you can find all of our latest content, everything there is to know about our products, all relating to live events, audio and video. Links to all of our socials will be on there as well, including our YouTube, where you can find more tutorials such as this one, tutorials for our products and NDI tools as well. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.